So you guys all are probably aware today plan is homework quiz and make our half sheets for the test. Before we do any of that though, do you guys have any questions from homeworks or things you want to talk about beforehand? Edie? Number four from the problems? Sure.
We're taking a test on 12 too?
Yes, on Tuesday. All right. So if I look at number four, what do we say here? That this is not a polynomial. I agree. And the reason is that you have this thing in the denominator. And even though the exponents are negative and you're like, oh, negative exponent in the denominator, that would flip. That's true if it's a single monomial, but because this is like, this is going to turn into like a complex fraction if you try to get it, because it's really 1 over x squared plus 6 over x plus 5, and to try to get it, you can't get any of the you can't get the x's out of the denominator entirely. So like they're stuck in there. So it is not a polynomial. Is that cool? Yeah. Okay. Perfect. Others with questions from homeworks? Happy to do more? Yeah. Hi, Nicole. Yes, 7. Sure. Hi, Miss Prebert. How are we doing?
Good. It's Friday.
Yeah, that's awesome. Edie, it's yours. Okay, so if I look at this one, it says determine the type of correlation based on the graph. So first thing I'm going to do is look to see if this correlation is positive or negative. This is positive because it's kind of the data sloping up. And this looks a little bit like a line, but not a tremendous amount like a line. I'd probably say it's moderate positive correlation because I can still tell it's probably a line, but it's pretty thick as far as like the band of points that make my line. It's a pretty thick band. That's it. That's all it's asking for. Does that feel good? Great. Yeah, Edie.
27.
27. I think this is the broken problem. There's one in here that like, it's probably my fault. Oh no, 28's the broken one. This is probably okay. But let's do 27. So it says in the relationship between profit and the month of the year of a business can be described using a cubic model. To create a model, economists measured the profits each month and recorded the data below. Part A, use that data to write a cubic model, P of T. And then part B, use that model to predict the profit for the company in month 10. Round your answer to 1 decimal place. Okay. So let's start by, if we got to build a mathematical model, we want to start by entering our data into our calculator. To do that, what button do we press to start? Stat, and then edit. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and clear out my data in L1 to enter my T's. So I'm going to move my cursor up on top of the L1 and press clear, not delete, and then the down arrow. And I'll do the same thing for L2, clear and then down. And I have a nice clean list to enter in my data. 3, 4, 5, 6, and then 4, 2, 6, 22. 56, 35. Everybody feel okay here? So I'm going to exit out of here. So second and quit. Now, where do all my models live at? I press the stat button again, but this time I go over to the calc tab. Josh, what's up?
You're the one on the left.
Yeah, number 27. And so if I'm looking for a cubic regression, the command I want is cubic reg. So I'll select that. I type my T's into L1. I type my P of T's into L2. That's all good. Now it asks me to make a prediction later on. So I'm going to store this regression equation I'm about to make into y1 so I can use it like a function notation later on so I don't have to plug it in manually, which is just like, it's not hard, but it's a hassle. So what I want here next to store reg EQ is y1. To get the y1, I press the vars button. I go over to yvars. I pick function. And there's my y1. And then I'll hit calculate. So for part A, I'd write y equals negative 2.6574 yada, 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 x to the third plus 28.3492 yada, 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 x squared plus negative 77.8505 yada, 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 x plus 58.66666 yada, 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 yada. So far, so good. And the coefficient of determination is pretty good, right? That's not spectacular, but that's pretty good. This is a decent fit. So that's part A. Now to get to part B, I want to do y1 of 10. So again, to get the y1, where do we go? Vars. And then yvars, function y1. And I'll just do of 10. So I'd expect this. Think this is a reasonable prediction? Probably not. That seems absurd that you're losing $542 million. What here caused, what do we do here that made this prediction unreliable, right? The model was a decent fit. We saw that with the R squared. The data seems unbiased from what they're describing. What's the third thing we need to check for reliability? Interpolation versus extrapolation, right? What did we do here when we made this prediction? Is this an interpolation or extrapolation? Extrapolation, why?
Because you're like trying to see the future with it.
Yeah, 10 is outside of the range of my x values. That's why we're getting a really unreliable prediction here. So even though over the short run, this data appeared to be somewhat cubic, over the long run, it appears that maybe that's not the best model for this situation. Does that make sense as to what we're doing to check reliability? It's those three things, right? Do you have a good fit? Do you have unbiased data? And then are you doing extrapolation? And the further out you extrapolate, the less reliable things get. You know, if I looked at month 7, maybe it's a decent prediction, but I went out to month 10 and all of a sudden we're getting cuckoo crazy stuff here. That doesn't seem very reasonable. If so, I want to get out of business of this company while the getting's good before I lose $500 million in a month. Yeep! Does that feel okay there, folks? Kinda.
We do one more.
Sure. What would you like to do?
Just the same one, but like a little slower.
Okay. Huh?
Another short one.
Okay. I'm gonna grab one of these ones. All right, let's see here. So let's do 23. It says the amount of money present in an individual's bank account after their initial investment, I think that's the wrong there, can be described using an exponential model. To create the model, a banker measures the value of the investment at several time intervals and records the data in the table below. Use that data to write the exponential model, and then use that model to predict the value of the account 40 years or after 40 years. Okay. Where do we start? Stat. So if you ask for this, let's tune in, right? So we press stat. Where do we do after that? Edit. And then we got to clear out what we had in here. So move your cursor up onto the title, press clear and then down. Move your cursor up onto the title, press clear and down, and now we're ready to just enter in our data. Okay, that should be okay. 1, 3, 4, 6, 7, 10. And then 500, 577. Yes. Yep. You don't need your eyes checked. You got it. It's because you're a baseball player. They say that, like, the limiting factor for being an excellent baseball player is your eyesight. Like the people that are like the team doctor for your professional baseball teams, like, yeah, everybody has like off the charts, like 25 or better vision, because you need to be able to see the baseball, like they see the seams moving while it's coming at you at like 100 miles an hour or whatever to be successful there. So, all right. So I got that. Maybe unless you're a pitcher, I don't think the pitchers need it. But if you're a hitter, you got to be able to see like spectacularly. All right. Got the data, and after that, what do we do? Yep, second quit. Get out of there. Then we go. We don't need to plot it. We don't have to do that step if you don't want to. If you're asked for a scatter plot, then yes, you should plot your data to look at the picture. But if you're not asked for a scatter plot, you don't need to do that. Okay? And I'm going to skip it because it doesn't ask us to do that. And it doesn't ask us like to pick a model where looking at the picture might be helpful in choosing the best option. It tells us what to build. So all I want to do is get an exponential model out of this. Where do all my regressions live? Not vars. Stat. So I'm going to press the stat button and then calc. And which one am I looking for? Not linreg. Not cubereg. Nope. Read the question. What does it ask for? Exponential. So I'm looking for expreg. So that's command 0 on my calculator. So again, I typed my T's into L1 and my Y's or my A of T's into Y or L2. So that looks good. Yes. expreg for exponential. Now, the only thing I need to change is to store this equation again, because it's asking me to make a prediction later on. If it didn't have that part B attached to it, I don't need to store it. I'm only going to store it because it's asking me to do something with this model after I make it. And this makes it simpler than like retyping all the numbers into my calculator by hand. I just would rather do this. So where it says store reg EQ, I want to put a Y1 here. Where do the Y's live? Vars. And then Y vars. And then function. And then there it is. Marianne. Yes, absolutely, 100%. Josh, you still good? And then we hit calculate. So here for my answer to part A, I would write Y equals 500.001 yada 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 times 1.1558 yada 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 to the X, right? I can see from my coefficient of determination, good golly, that's pretty good, right? That's just short of perfect. That looks spectacular. Matthew, what's up?
It's giving me an error.
Okay, what does the error say? It means that you must have missed typing in one of the numbers because you have more things in one column than the other.
Okay.
That's what it's telling you. Or you're using the wrong lists, right? If you have nothing in the lists or something, like it'll give you an error for that. But it's saying that there's something wrong with the lists. All right. For part B, now I want to do Y1 of 40. So I'm still on the main screen, so I got to do y1 of 40. Where do the y's live? Vars. Then y vars, and then function, and then y1, and then I'll do parenthesis 40. Notice that this is not times 40. That's not what we're doing here. This is function notation. It's taking 40 and plugging it into the equation located in y1, right? So my answer there would be $163,821.59. Mm-hmm. Yes, check.
Mine's just not doing that. I did everything right.
Come show me.
All right.
What's up? So if I want the scatter plot, you do second and y equals. You'll pick one of the plots. I'll just pick plot 1. Need to turn it on, so on is highlighted. We do type 1. We use the lists that we just entered our data in, and I like the squares. Once you've got that, you can exit out of there, and then you press the zoom button at the top and pick zoom stat. And if you do that, you should see your scatter plot come up, and because we saved that. Okay, what's up now?
So I put everything in right.
Yeah, that looks fine.
Yeah, I just don't. The answer is different, so I don't know.
Oh, you didn't have the R's. So you have to turn on your diagnostic. You must not have done this on the first day when we did this.
I don't think I did.
So you just press second and 0, and then you scroll down till you find the command diagnostic on. Now that you have that, when you do this, now the R's come up. Your thing is still there, so that worked. And if you did the y1 of 40,
Sweet, thank
so
you.
everything looks like it's working. Sure. All right, folks, what do you say? Feel a little better? All right, let's do the darn thing, right? Ugh.